Hello, and welcome back to the Court Sense podcast. After a bye week for the pod, we're back and we're talking to our first active University of Hawaii player now that the Rainbow Warriors have incredibly gotten off their first two Big West Conference games of this very strange season. Senior forward Casdon Jardine had one of the most efficient games you'll ever see. 26 points on 10 for 12 shooting, 9 rebounds, and a couple of assists in the second of two back-to-back games at UC Riverside. The 6'7 co-captain who came in from Utah Valley helped UH get to the cusp of a road sweep, only for Arinze Cheatham to hit a lefty hook shot with 2.1 seconds left and send the Rainbow Warriors home with a split. Jardine, or Chef Boy Jardine as he goes on social media, has been a well-traveled staple. He did a 2-year church mission to Brazil coming out of high school in Idaho and has since played for 4 different colleges, including 3 at the Division I level. So far, it looks like a pretty good fit for Hawaii. Jardine is 12th nationally in field goal percentage at 65.6 and leads the country in three-point percentage, 68.75. He's 11 for 16 from 3 after his 4 for 4 in the rematch at UCR. Now, UH faces a talented, athletic, energetic Cal State Bakersfield team new to the Big West at Simplify Arena this Friday and Saturday. The Roadrunners are 3-1 in conference and have played 11 games overall, going 7-4. Compared to UH's 3-1 and 1-1 of the Big West. Should be interesting. So here we go with UH's new stretch four-man, Casdon Jardine. Check out Mike and Kara at No Ko'oi Automotive in Kalihi for all your vehicle repairs and maintenance needs. Quick turnaround, affordable, honest, and ASE certified. Call or text 842-6453 to schedule an appointment today. That's 842-MIKE or email noko'oiauto@gmail.com. The best part, mention the Court Sense podcast for a 10% discount. Okay, Casdon Jardine, welcome to the Court Sense podcast, and thank you for being the first member of this current Rainbow Warriors basketball team to come on the pod.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Casdon, please first tell me just what the last couple days have been like for you and your teammates. You get back from this road trip, this dual road trip just to UC Riverside. You play in consecutive days conference games, which had never before happened in the Big West for Hawaii. Maybe going back to some of its very early conference days, I'd have to check. But what was that like to do and be a part of that?
Yeah, honestly, well, first of all, in the COVID world, it was one thing in and of itself. But just the back-to-back days is something that is a different machine. Like it's a totally different feel of basketball in regards to how conference usually goes about. Because it's always the first time you play a team in conference. It's fun, it's exciting, there's tons of energy. And then however that game goes, usually it's okay, well, forget about them right now because we've got, so-and-so in 2 days, wherever it is. But now it's whatever game you just had, win or lose, whoever played well, whoever didn't, okay, forget that. We have them again tomorrow. Let's make adjustments. What are we going to do? So going through this conference season is going to be a totally new experience for all of us. I mean, whether you're a freshman or a senior, nobody has experienced conference play like it is right now.
Gotcha. Like in non-conference tournaments, and conference tournaments, of course, you have that back-to-back days games scenario, right? Of course, it's always with a different opponent from day to day. So I have to imagine there's all kinds of machinations, and like I can't even imagine what the coaching staff did the night after your first game, just probably being up into the wee hours of the morning, breaking down film and trying to figure out what some of their adjustments could be. What was it like for you guys as players after that first game, preparing for, I guess, game 2, maybe the morning of, for Riverside?
Yes. I mean, so we played that game, we got back to the hotel, and then from that point on, it was hydrate, eat, get treatment, do whatever we had to do with our trainer to make sure that our bodies were ready to go for the next day. It was a quick turnaround, and whatever, if you had a dead leg that game, you didn't have a day or two to stretch it out. It was, let's get it done right now, get mentally ready, And it, like quick turnaround is a very, very highly used word, I'd say, from this trip. Is just got to be ready to go the next day. So
Yeah, no kidding. So how extensive, Casdon, would you say just some of the X's and O's differences you guys prepared for, tried to execute from, because of course you're expecting the same thing from the Highlanders, right?
for sure. Yeah, Saturday morning, everybody was up. We had breakfast. We had, team film, and the film that we were watching was not of any other game except for the game we just had. It wasn't like the day before where we were watching Riverside play whoever. It was them playing us. So the film was 100% applicable. It was 100% what we could do better, what we did well. And so, the game plan was just solidified and revamped so that we had to do better on so-and-so. We had to do better on so-and-so. We had to rebound better. We had to do this. And so it was pretty cool to have, that experience of that turnaround of preparation from the day before now being so much more valid and viable going into the next day with the same team.
Sure. And you guys are going to have that same experience for each and every one of these Big West mini-series for the rest of the season, as many as you guys can get in. Of course, you had the first series against Cal Poly canceled. Unfortunately, they could not make the trip out to the islands, to the Simplify Arena. Bakersfield, Cal State Bakersfield, a new Big West team, is the team you guys are scheduled to face here this weekend, and they are coming off a sweep of Cal Poly. So challenging opponent on paper coming in, one that Hawaii has never seen before in conference. Casdon, you are a guy that was making kind of your name here in these last couple games. Of course, you got in the two non-conference Division II opponent games at the Stan Sheriff, so local fans could see you on TV there. Probably a little bit harder for people to see you in this game. It was a web stream only game. Diehards like me are tuning in, old media types, of course. But for everyone who couldn't see you, I just want to say that was one of the more efficient games I've seen of a player in the last several years. I think you shot 10 for 12, made all of your 3-point field goal attempts, 4 for 4, 9 rebounds, couple assists, no turnovers. Did everything you could to kind of carry your team to the finish line in that one. Of course, it went down to the final buzzer. Arinze Cheatham hits a hook shot with 2 seconds left to put Riverside over the top. But what was just kind of your thought on that second of the two, just from a personal standpoint?
It felt great. It felt really good because at no point in the game did I ever feel like I was forcing anything, because previous games in my career where, I felt like I had it going, I felt like I had those moments of like, maybe shouldn't have shot that one, or, that was a heat check, or, something like that. But I really felt like in that second game, I really felt like they were all good shots. I felt like they were in rhythm. They were in what we were doing in the offense and at the moments that we needed them most. So I felt really good about that. And it felt good to solidify myself that I'm not just a 3-point shooter. It's made me, a lot more confident in myself going forward, that if a team tries to run me off the 3-point line, I have other assets that I can use in order to, help our team to win. So hopefully we can be able to continue to use me that way going forward.
Yeah, that last shot you made, that was a mid-range. It looked like a one-legged step back almost. Was that the one? Is that in the regular repertoire?
I usually prefer it on the other side of the basket, over on the left block, but I had it on the right block, and just that felt right, and I was feeling it during the game, and so I'm glad it went down.
Well, Casdon, how did you guys feel as a team? Resulting in the split. Of course, you wanted the sweep, but that first Big West road trip, you win the opener by 5, 88-83, in a game you guys led most of the way and turned back some Riverside charges. In that second game, you guys came from down double digits, led 4 late, and really had an opportunity there. So in the end, how did you guys feel going home with the split?
Like you just said, we wanted the road sweep for sure. But I think that loss is actually going to end up being good for us. We got some good film from it. Plays that we didn't make, plays that we need to make. I think it's going to be good. We have some young guards who who just need experience. We have some young players who have so much potential that, need to make the wrong play and see it on tape so that we can, be better going forward. And me being a senior, being the oldest guy on the team for sure, I understand that, you have to make mistakes in order to learn. You have to make mistakes in order to grow. So I hope that, we can all have that mentality of chip on our shoulder now. If we didn't get the sweep, we've still got, a lot to prove. So I think that that'll be good for us going forward.
Casdon, you are an older guy. I know you're married. You have gone on a 2-year church mission before, correct me if I'm wrong, before you started your college career.
Yes.
So how old are you, Casdon Jardine?
I am 24 years old. I'll be 25 in April.
All right. That actually doesn't sound too old. I think Gibson Johnson, I think, might have been older than that when he played here. So that kind of takes me to my next question for you, Casdon, is what made Hawaii, the place that you wanted to play this senior year of college basketball? Of course, if you want, you have an additional senior year of college basketball after this because of the NCAA's across the board waiver of eligibility for this year. So, you were coming from Utah Valley, place you averaged double figures last year under Coach Mark Madsen. And there are some ties there, I should mention, on that Utah Valley staff, a guy named Todd Okeson, director of basketball operations here under Coach Gannott for a couple of years. Even Shane Swift, the video coordinator, was out here at Hawaii. I might even be missing one or two other little Hawaii ties. How did all that play out to you coming here, Casdon?
The ties to Hawaii didn't play much in me actually ending up here. But honestly, last year when I was at Utah Valley University, that whole coaching staff was new to me. I transferred from Boise State originally to Utah Valley University, and I committed to the staff of Mark Pope, Cody Feger, Burgess, who are now all at BYU. So I committed to that staff, went to UVU, and I redshirted under that staff of the staff that I had, gone to UVU to play for. So at the end of my redshirt season, all of that went down, and that whole entire staff left and went to BYU, along with, Coach Daniels, who ended up at Weber State. So going into my redshirt junior year, my year that I'm eligible to play again, having worked my butt off all year to, get better, to be ready to play, we had a whole new staff come in, where I had to reprove myself, and had a whole new team trying to prove themselves to the coaching staff, and the coaching staff coming in wanting to do what they wanted to do. And, it's basketball, it's a business. And, we as players, we're just assets to the business that we say, yes, coach, and do what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to play, and that's what we do. But, having the opportunity that I had as a graduate senior, I just really wanted it to be my decision on where I was going to play my final year of college basketball. When I put my name in the transfer portal, I wasn't even set on leaving UVU. I just wanted to know my options. I wanted to know, where I was going to end up and what would be the best fit for me. And so as that process, panned out, University of Hawaii came into play really early on. They were one of the early schools to hit me up, but I actually had to work with my wife quite a bit because she was like, no, that's an ocean away. Like, that's so far. Like, I don't think I can do that. And so I didn't really entertain it super seriously for the first bit. But as I talked more and more with the coaching staff, they talked about the fit that I would be here and the role that I would be and how they needed me and saw my potential and saw me as a shooter, but also saw me as a scorer and as a playmaker. All those things, made me feel like it could be a place where I could excel and be a successful basketball player. And also to have a 1-year opportunity in a master's program of finance was huge for me as well, because I don't want to do a two-year master's. I didn't want to do a two-year master's program. So that was huge for me. So there was a lot of things that played into me ending up here. But overall, it just ended up being what felt right and where I could see myself being successful.
Well, I mentioned Gibson Johnson, and I had him on the pod a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that his family knows you pretty well. Something like you would be over there playing ball on the weekends with maybe one of his brothers or something like that.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate on that connection? And I mean, knowing a guy who was on, the extended coaching staff here, did that help at all?
for sure. So Gibson Johnson is actually, he was the last one of his family that I met, that I got to know. I played basketball firsthand at UVU with his brother McKay. And then the next year I played with another brother of his, Lewis, at UVU. And then I met the other siblings through them. And like he said, yeah, I was over at the Johnson house. We'd have game nights. My wife and I would go over there and hang out with them. Because I'm really close with McKay, one of his brothers. And so we've just been good friends throughout my whole time in Utah. And then when my name got put in the portal, all of a sudden I'm getting contacted by another Johnson who's at Hawaii. And it was just funny because, yeah, it definitely was a comforting thing, especially for my wife, to know that, there'd be someone that we knew, not necessarily personally, but we knew the family so well that like we knew what Gibson was going to be like. So yeah, that was big for us, and feeling comfortable going an ocean away. So.
Now, Casdon, once you get here, it's not long in the preseason before you are named a team captain, co-captain, along with Justin Webster, who is a sophomore. So on one hand, you've got, a sophomore, which second year in the program overall as a true sophomore, you don't normally associate that as a natural captaincy position. And then in your case, a guy who is with his first year in the program, coming from, has played for a couple other D1 programs, also not a natural usual pick for captaincy with a program. So how would you kind of describe just how, that came to be for the two of you, and how have you tried to take on that mantle?
Yeah. Webb, he's a stud, and, coming in this summer for workouts and practices and all that stuff, I would have never thought that he was a sophomore. Like his talk is elite. He has a high level of leadership, and I really would have, expected him to be maybe a junior or a senior. He's an awesome guy, a stud of a leader, and he's been a great captain too. For me, I've always just had a leadership type personality. I've always been an over communicator, and I've always, tried to be a glue guy, not just only on my teams, but also like in my family and my friendships and relationships, things like that. Just be somebody who, is steady. And I was a captain at UVU as well. And when I got here, it never, came into my mind to take a step back or to, be more conservative. It was almost opposite of that. It was, I am a senior. I need to show that I'm a senior. I need to be vocal. I'm going to keep doing what I do and be who I am. And, I was able to build some trust and some bonds with my teammates really quick, and it showed. And, I'm very humbled and honored to, be a captain this year.
And it was a pretty young team, right? I mean, a team that had lost its multi-year captain and a guy named Drew Buggs, who goes off to Missouri. Maybe a team that was in need of some leadership. I don't know if you're a Marvel fan, but to borrow a line from Thor Ragnarok, there's a point when Loki sees a bunch of refugees and he says, "You look like you're in desperate need of leadership." And they tell him, "Why, thank you." Anyway, to go on a little bit of a tangent there. But so Casdon, how differently are you being used as far as your skill set goes compared to your past stops as a D1 player? Boise State, as you mentioned, coming from Utah Valley, and then you had a junior college stop in between, right? College of Southern Idaho.
Yeah, College of Southern Idaho was my very first stop.
Okay, coming out of high school in Idaho, right? Yeah,
so I graduated from high school, went on my mission, came home. Didn't have any Division I offers or serious interest out of high school. I was 6'5", 175, just this, Idaho skinny kid who could play ball. But I got home from my mission and I was 6'7", 220. So I grew about 1.5 inches and put on 45 pounds. So that was big for me moving forward in my, my interest of playing Division I basketball. And I had a great year at the College of Southern Idaho, and had a great coaching staff who, helped me to succeed and to show what I could do. And then I committed and signed very early with Boise State from my year at CSI when I was really starting to blow up. But I decided that it was a great fit for me. It was close to home. was in the Mountain West. It was everything that I, thought I wanted to do. But then when I got there, just had a really poor relationship with one of the assistant coaches, and it just turned out to be a really crummy year where I just didn't enjoy basketball anymore, didn't want to go to practice. I just lost my love for the game. And at that point, towards the end of the season, I decided I wasn't going to come back to that school just because, I didn't want to continue somewhere where I was feeling that way. So I put my name in the transfer portal, and then, ended up at UVU. And at UVU this last year, I played a very significant role. I averaged double figures, was like 39.5% from three. But I just felt like I wasn't, used enough. I led the team in 3-point percentage and shooting percentage, but I was nowhere near the leader in attempts and 3-point attempts. And so I just felt frustrated because we kept losing, and it just didn't seem to be the style of basketball that I was going to be successful in. So, one thing leads to another, and now I'm here, and, I had a great game, my career best game this last weekend. And so hopefully we can continue to build from that, and I can continue to be a player that is going to help University of Hawaii, win a championship this year.
Yeah, you finished with 26 points, as we said, 10 of 12 shooting, efficient stat line all across the board. Career high by how much, out of curiosity? Do you remember what your previous?
It was 1 point higher.
Okay.
It was 1 point higher, but it was on, I think it was like 10 shooting attempts less. That's why that game felt so good to me, is because it was the most efficient game of basketball I've ever played, where, I didn't force anything. The game came naturally and just took what the game gave me.
Well, there's only been 4 games this year. You have shot 50% or better from the field in each of those 4 games. That game, of course, 10 for 12, will skew your average in the positive direction significantly. Mm-hmm. I believe you're up to 65% for the season. I don't know where that ranks among national leaders. I have to imagine it's pretty high up there. I haven't looked, as I said, but in any given season, I mean, that is an elite number that I wish you the best of luck trying to maintain that, Casdon Jardine, because that is some rarefied air right there for the moment. Casdon, I'm curious, just your overall experience as a D1 athlete, because you've been in D1 basketball for so long. What has this year been like when you talk about from the time you got here, extended pauses of activity basketball wise, then you guys get into it, but you're only able to do, I believe, some very limited contact, wearing masks for a lot of it, very limited amounts of 5-on-5 full court basketball before the actual season starts, which of course got pushed back by, a month. Please, can you just sum up the uncertainty, the, maybe frustration, just what's it like being a Division I college basketball athlete right now?
Yeah. I'd say number one thing that I could say is just control what you can control. Like you said, it's been so out of our control, and it's been so up and down and go and stop, that it's been like a mental battle more so than like basketball has been, in a very different way of trying to stay mentally prepared and wanting to grind and wanting to get better and wanting to be in the gym, but not being able to get in the gym and not being able to get extra time in and do all of those things that are so natural to us as a Division I athlete to, put extra time and do extra work to do all those things, but like not be able to, has definitely been a different type of mental battle. And then, like you said, the stop go of, it was crazy because when the conference tournaments were all getting canceled last year, no one ever thought that it would trickle over, I guess not trickle, but continue to waterfall into this season. Like I would have never thought that it would still be such a big deal that we're dealing with. So when that continued to happen, and when the summer got pushed back, and then the day to come to Hawaii kept getting pushed back, it just was like, okay, just stay ready, just stay ready, just stay ready. So, finally we get here, and then like you said, we were no contact at all for like a month and a half. It was only skill development and masks on and in the gym, and couldn't touch another player's basketball, like all of these things like that. And then I remember we cheered and were so stoked the day that we could take the mask off. And then we were so stoked the day that we could play 5-on-5, all the things that, we've taken for granted, I guess, but that we could finally do those things again. But honestly, like, and it's also been a different thing of like of keeping our bodies right, because like we can't even do treatment the way that we've done it all the years, you know. Like I'm an older guy. I know my body needs extra work, and I'm an ice bath advocate. I love taking ice baths, and like that hasn't been a possibility because of restrictions and protocols and this and that. And so there's just been so many different variables that none of us thought would ever be variables that have happened this year, that all we can do is, you know, just take it as it comes and don't get too high, don't get too low. Just try to stay steady and control what you can control.
Casdon, I want to say maybe slightly more than half of all the Big West, you know, matchup series between all the teams in the Big West have been canceled so far. Like week one, I think all but one or two were canceled.
Yep.
Maybe same thing for week two, in which you guys had a bye week already. This past week, I think actually most were able to be played in some form or fashion. It might be right around half now. How do you go into these weeks at the start of the week? Like, you know, we're talking on a Tuesday, Casdon. Are you just thinking, all right, if we get to play, great. If not, on to the next week? Or are you like telling yourself, oh, we're definitely playing? Like, you know, how are you approaching that on just a weekly basis now?
You know, like you said, we have to prepare like we are playing. We have to. You know, we can't be like, okay, well, let's just glide through the week, and if we get to the game, we get to the game. We can't do that. Otherwise, we're going to lose if the game happens, you know? So we have to prepare like it's happening. Like there's no chance that COVID's going to cancel this game. But at the same time, just also, you know, just have that, I don't know, the mental awareness that if it gets canceled, you can't do anything about it. So, okay, well, we got better this week, regardless of us getting to play a game or not. Here we go to the next week. And so just got to be it's a mental exercise every week of prepare like we're playing, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't, you know. Like it's kind of a comical thing to talk about.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what did you do for that Big West opening week in the time that you would have been playing Cal Poly on that? I guess it was a Sunday and a Monday, was it that week?
Yeah.
Something weird. What did you end up doing instead of in the time like that 7 to 9 o'clock or 5 to 7 that you would have been playing?
Well, I remember it was really weird because there was like the whole conference, like no one was playing, you know, like I think there was only one game, like you said, one series that ended up happening. And so it was just like, and it was also so weird because the rest of the country, like majority of the other conferences were playing and even had like some fans at the games and things like that. It's like, we can't even get a game. Like we haven't even played a Division I basketball game yet. So when that first weekend when things got canceled, it was really like, are we ever going to play a game? It was that one was a tough one when it got canceled. But now that we've played some games and actually played Division I opponents and had the conference games happen, I think we're a lot more optimistic about it going forward.
I have to imagine there was a sense of relief after that Friday game against Riverside this week, just getting in that first Division I basketball game.
For sure. Definitely.
I read on your bio that you were a high school valedictorian.
Yeah.
Were you the one and only at your high school, or how did that come to be?
So our school had multiple, because it went to those with a 4.0 who were in honors classes and dual credit courses, things like that. So there was a few of us, multiple of us that had done those things. But yeah, I was the valedictorian at my high school. So
nice job. And you're doing finance now? Is that what you?
Yeah, my undergraduate degree is in business management with a minor in finance, and then this summer I'll wrap up my master's degree in finance.
I wanted to ask you one more X's and O's question about, and I think we're coming up on about half hour, which I told you I'd keep it to that.
However long, whatever works.
Thanks. How's the dynamic in the front court right now? I mean, you got James Jean Marie, another guy who comes in as a Division I transfer, played at another school, University of San Diego last year, guy who started a lot himself. So how is the sharing of responsibilities, playing off each other, recognizing your two skill sets? Both you guys can step out and hit the three ball as necessary. Seemed like you both have a decent mid-range game as well. And of course, James Jean Marie showed some capacity to stick it in the bucket from pretty much point blank range. So what's that been like so far?
No, it's been good. Like you said, James has a very unique skill set, and so do I. It's been good that James has been comfortable playing at the 5 because it's been giving us an opportunity to play together, which has been good. It's hard to guard when you have a 4 and a 5 man who can shoot the ball like we do. So that's been good. Mate also is a great shooter. So it's like we have, three of our bigs who are shooting at a high clip from 3, and that's tough to guard. Also, James and I, we always joke with each other, but we do play well on the court together when we look to make each other better. So we're tough. We're a tough duo to guard when things are clicking, and hopefully we can continue to do that going forward.
Now, James is from Montreal. I have to imagine, is he talking French at least part of the time out there?
I don't think I've ever heard him go into the whole French thing. I don't think I have. So I'm going to have to maybe get under his skin a little bit more until I can, see when I can get some French to come out.
Not one word of French so far.
I mean, not that I've heard that was audible, I guess.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm going to have to have him on sometime and just, I'm going to have him at least tell some of the podcast listeners something in French.
Yeah, for sure. One. Yeah.
Well, last question for you, Casdon. I'll cut you loose. What are you expecting out of this Bakersfield team this weekend? If, knock on wood, you guys get to lace it up twice.
Yeah. So I actually got to play against them 2 times last year in the WAC. So, we should expect them to be physical. I would say their physicality should be pretty comparable to that of Riverside. Pressure the wings, pressure the guards. I'm sure they're going to try to run me off the 3-point line. That's what they did last year. They'll probably put a smaller guy on me to try and get me to not shoot threes. But they're going to crash the boards really hard. So we just have to be ready to come for a dogfight. And, we have to come out and throw those first punches because they're a team that is a very energetic team in regards to if a block happens or a dunk happens, their bench goes crazy and then they're hyping up off of each other. So we have to come out and throw those first punches. Otherwise, we're going to be clawing our way back into the game and for a win. So, but it's definitely something that we can handle, and I think we'll be prepared for it.
And a follow-up to that, Casdon, it is the conference home opener for you guys Friday, Saturday at the Simplify Arena. I know you haven't played a game there yet with fans. I'm just curious, what's it like playing there with no fans? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's pretty weird to like look around and not see fans, to not hear the chants, but I feel like once the tip is up, like once the game is going, I feel like it doesn't really change that much, because they have the sounds going in, over the sound system of the crowd, going crazy when you make a shot or when someone dunks it. So they've done a good job with that. And at the same time, we just want to compete. All the rest of it really is just noise. And it's been very different. Honestly, the only thing is it's just crazy that I'm here in Hawaii. I live with my wife and she can't come and watch me play here. That's the crazy thing to me. That's the thing those are the things that I wish could change, is like just family or just the people you live with could come and be there to support you, because that's the support that, you really feel. So.
And I just thought of a bonus question, and I promise I'll let you go after this. What is the on that note? Some people can come to the game, family can't, or you guys and coaches and staff, of course, can go to the game. Some media members. Uh-huh. What is like the COVID testing protocol like for you guys? How often do you have to get tested?
Yeah, we get tested. We get tested 3 times a week. So then they have to be. Pretty sure they have to be like 48 hours apart. So it's like you get tested Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there has to be 3 tests every week in order to be like COVID qualified, basically to play in those Friday, Saturday games. And so we have to make sure that all of us are, doing our part outside of the court. so that no one has a slip up, because if, one of us tests positive on any of those 3 days, then that game on those games on Friday, Saturday are going to get canceled. So it's pretty strict protocol. Like, you got to wear your mask. You don't have to wear your mask when you're on the court, sweating all over each other playing, but the instant you get off the court and are on the bench, you better be 6 feet apart and have a mask on, But
yeah, go figure.
A lot of the things don't make sense, but we follow the rules because we want to play. So sometimes you just gotta smile and wave and do what you got to do so that you can play the games.
Is it the nose swab every time?
Yep, the nose swab. Yeah.
Are you fairly tired of that at this point, or you've gotten used to it?
They're actually, I mean, they're not nearly as invasive as the early tests were. The early tests, they were going up and touching your brain. These ones are, like just actually in your nose area, so it's not too terrible. But yeah, I'm ready to be done testing 3 times a week though.
Well, on that note, we will be done with this podcast. Casdon Jardine, thank you so much for making a little time on another Big West game week.
For sure. Thank you, man. Appreciate being here. Thank you.